It was 3 in the morning. The copper bell in my shop rang. I put down the yellow paper I was holding, got up to open the door. The night wind rushed in, carrying a choking smell of burnt stuff. The old street was dead quiet. The streetlights were dim yellow. Not a single person in sight. But sitting on the doorstep was a tiny figure. It was a little girl, about 6 or 7 years old. She wore a pink cotton jacket, had 2 little pigtails, with red bows tied at the ends. She had her head down, holding something in both hands. Her whole posture looked like a little turtle hiding in its shell. I crouched down, tried to get eye level with her. "Little sis, who are you looking for?" She slowly lifted her head. Her face was really clean. Her eyes were huge. Her pupils shimmered with a watery glint under the streetlight. She wasn't crying, but that look of not crying felt way more suffocating than a full-on wail. Her lips moved a little. Her voice was as thin as a mosquito's buzz. "Big sister, are you the one who talks to dead people?" I froze for a second. Most people call me the owner of the paper funeral shop, or a nicer term is a ritual arranger. But nobody ever put it so bluntly to me before. Still, I had to admit, she was right. "Kind of, yeah," I said. "What's wrong?" She held up what she had been clutching in her hands. It was a paper crane. A burnt paper crane. Only half of it was left. One wing was missing. The head was burned off too. All that remained was a charred triangular scrap. But through the burnt surface, you could faintly see the original paper was bright yellow. Not ordinary material. It was spirit paper, the kind you only find in funeral supply stores. I took the paper crane from her. The moment my fingertips touched the paper, a wave of heat shot up my arm. Not scalding, just hot. Like sticking your hand into a charcoal fire that just went out. You could feel the warmth, but it didn't hurt. Inside that heat wave was a certain smell. Strong and pungent, sharp and acrid. The kind of smell that makes you instinctively want to cover your nose and mouth. Smoke. Not cigarette smoke. It's burning wood, plastic, and fabric all mixed together. Smoke from a fire scene. "Who gave you this paper crane?" I ask. The little girl shakes her head. "No one gave it to me. It flew here on its own." "When?" "Last night. Mom wasn't home. I was sleeping alone in my room. The window wasn't closed. She flew in through the window and landed on my pillow. There's writing on it." I flipped the paper crane over. There are indeed words on the inside of the scrap, smudged and blurred by the smoke. But when I lean in and look closely, I can tell it was written with a ballpoint pen. The strokes are very heavy. Each stroke looks like it took a lot of effort. "Don't be scared." Just those 2 words. I read the 2 words over 3 times. Then I look at the little girl. "What's your name?" "Xiao He." "Xiao He. Why did you come to see me?" Her tears finally fall. Not a loud wail. Totally silent. One drop after another. Like beads off a broken string. She wipes her face with the back of her hand. Sniffles. Trying hard to keep her voice steady. "I want to find the person who saved me. Mom said she died. But I can't find her. I really want to say thank you to her." After she says this, she pulls out a neatly folded piece of paper from her cotton-padded jacket pocket and hands it to me. I open it. It's a newspaper clipping. The edges are yellowed and frayed. The headline is in bold black letters. "Late night fire in residential building. Firefighter dies bravely." I skimmed through the text below. 5 years ago, a fire broke out in an old residential building in this city. The preliminary cause was determined to be aging electrical wiring. When the firefighters got to the scene, the fire had already spread to the 5th floor. One firefighter rushed into the burning building 3 times, rescuing 4 trapped people, including a 2-year-old girl. When he went in the 4th time to search, part of the building collapsed. He got buried under the rubble, and sadly, he didn't make it. What was the name of the firefighter who died? It was written in the report. Little he circled those 3 characters with a pen. Next to them, written crookedly, were the words "Uncle." "Thank you." I looked up at little he. 5 years ago, when he was 2, he was that rescued 2-year-old girl in the report. "Mom takes me every year to the fire station to give flowers to Uncle." Little he's voice got quieter and quieter, like a candle burning down. "But Mom says Uncle is dead, and he can't get the flowers." "Sister, Can you help me deliver this letter? I just want him to know. I put the paper crane and the clipping on the counter, took little his hand, and sat him down on a chair in the shop. I poured him a glass of warm water. He held the cup with both hands, taking small sips, glancing up at me now and then, like a little animal checking if it's safe. I sat across from him, my mind racing. A paper crane folded by a thumb flew itself into a little girl's window, with "Don't be afraid" written on it. This wasn't just some ordinary paranormal thing. It was an incredibly strong obsession at work. This obsession wasn't malicious, not from resentment, not from hatred, and not even from regret. Its core was simple, so simple it made my nose sting. To complete the career story outlines of 5 firefighters who died, the Wakshi paper shop's female boss handles a paranormal event. When a firefighter rushes into a burning building, he doesn't think, "Am I going to die?" He thinks, "Is there anyone still in there?" The last time he went in, it was because he thought there was still someone inside. He wasn't sure, but he couldn't take that gamble. If he was right, that was a life saved. If he was wrong, it was just a few more flights of stairs. He took that risk. Hearing the story so far, I'd like to recommend a great platform for listening to stories, the Douyin Jinxuan app. The Douyin Select app not only has tons of stories to choose from, but also tons of quality creators. It's full of trending hits. Go ahead and download it to give it a try. He gambled right. Xiao He got rescued, but he gambled away his own life. Here's the thing, if you die saving the hostage, your spirit shouldn't have any regrets. The mission's done, the person's out, so you can move on in peace. But that line, "Don't be scared," was only half said. The first half came out, but the second half didn't make it. He probably meant to say, "Don't be scared, I'll get you out of here." Or maybe, "Don't be scared, your mom's waiting for you outside." Nobody knows what the second half was, because the floor collapsed. His words got stuck in his throat, so he can't leave. He has to finish that sentence. I looked at the firefighter's name on the newspaper clipping again. Qin Shouzheng was 23 when he died, 2 years younger than me. The photo showed a young face, big eyes and thick eyebrows, the corners of his mouth slightly lifted, like he was joking with someone off camera. "Xiao He," I stood up. "I'll deliver it for you." Xiao He's eyes lit up instantly. He jumped off the chair, ran over to me, and looked up at me. "Really? Really? But you have to promise me one thing." "What?" "Go home and get a good night's sleep tonight. Your mom will be worried if she can't find you." "I'll walk you home." Xiao He nodded hard, bobbing his head like a chicken pecking rice. I walked him to his front door. His mom was standing in the hallway on the phone, her voice all shaken up from worry. When she saw Xiao He pop out from the stairwell, she grabbed him and hugged him, scolded him a bit, both angry and relieved, then shot me a confused look. I just smiled and waved my hand. He turned and walked away. By the time I got home, it was past 4 in the morning. I didn't go to sleep. I sat behind the counter and started going through files. Old Lee gave me a call. He was dragged out of bed. After grumbling a few words, he still helped me look up the details of that fire 5 years ago. It was way more complicated than what the paper said. The fire started in an old residential building from the 80s on the east side of town. It had 6 floors and 3 sections. The origin was the electrical meter box on the 2nd floor of Section 1. The flames spread fast through the junk in the hallway and the old wiring in the walls. After the fire department got the call, they arrived on scene in 4 minutes. But the hallway in Section 1 was already completely filled with smoke. Qin Shouzheng was in the first wave to go in. He started searching from the 1st floor and worked his way up. He found a trapped elderly person on the 3rd floor and carried them down. He went up a 2nd time, found a mother and child on the 4th floor, and brought them down too. The 3rd time he went up, the smoke on the 5th floor was so thick you couldn't see a thing. He crawled up to the 5th floor in the dark, feeling his way along the doors on both sides of the hallway. In the last room he touched a small body curled up under the bed. That was Xiao He. He picked him up, covered his mouth and nose with a wet towel, and started heading back down. When he got to the 4th floor, the building started making ominous noises. According to what others on scene said, he could have easily sprinted down right then. He could have been out the section door in 10 seconds. But he didn't. He paused at the stairwell landing on the 4th floor, felt Xiaohe from head to toe, made sure he wasn't hurt, then turned and shouted something to his buddy behind him. Nobody could make out what he said, because the next second, the floor collapsed. Qin Shoucheng's body blocked the falling debris. Xiaohe was shielded in his arms, and only got minor injuries. Qin Shou himself was pinned by a concrete slab across his chest. By the time his buddies dug him out of the rubble, he had already stopped breathing. His last words came after he was pinned. Just 2 words, said very softly. His buddy had to put his ear right up to his mouth. "You barely hear, don't be scared." I closed the info page on my phone. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling for a long time. At 5:30 in the morning, I started folding paper. What I had to make this time wasn't complicated, but it had to be precise. First, I made a paper figure. Not the kind you burn for the dead. Those don't have faces. Just a vague outline. I needed one that could recognize itself, so its face had to look as close as possible to Qin Shouzheng when he was alive. I worked from that blurry photo in the newspaper clipping. Using a brush and ink, I drew stroke by stroke. Thick eyebrows, big eyes, a high nose bridge, thin but wide lips, and the corners of his mouth slightly turned up. After I finished, I studied it for a while. Felt the curve of the right eye was a bit off, so I wiped it off with a damp cloth and redid it. I fixed it 3 times before I finally set the brush down. The paper figure was done. Then I started making the second item. A paper fire truck. Not a detailed model, just one cut from a board. On the red body, I wrote the number 119 in gold powder. On top, there was a paper folded water cannon. And on the front, I drew a small emblem, like a badge. In the center of the badge was a crane with its wings spread. The paper figure, the fire truck, plus one more thing. A paper crane. This one couldn't be folded from shiny paper. I picked a sheet of beige rice paper, cut it into a square, folded it in half, folded it again, pressed the creases, shaped it. Every move I made was slow and careful. After I finished folding, I wrote 2 words on the left wing with my brush. Xiaohe. And on the right wing, 2 more words. Thank you. Then I placed the paper crane in the paper figure's hands, making it look like he was holding it. When everything was ready, the sky had already brightened. I didn't act right away. Something this strong can't be handled during the day. Too much daylight energy would backfire. I packed up the paper figure, the paper truck and the paper crane, set up a cot in the shop, and took a nap. At 3 in the afternoon, I was woken up by a phone call. It was Xiao, his mom. Her voice sounded really worried. She said Xiao, he started running a fever at noon. It went up to over 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit. The fever meds didn't even help. She asked if Xiaohe caught a chill last night. I said, I'd be right over. When I got to Xiaohe's place, he was lying in bed. His face was red like an apple. His lips were cracked. His eyes were closed. He was mumbling something unclear. I put my hand on his forehead. Yeah, it was really hot. But what I felt wasn't just the heat. There was also this slight, electric-like vibration coming from his body. I told his mom to go out and get a glass of water first. Once she closed the door, I lifted Xiao, his blanket, and pulled down his pajama collar a little. Below his collarbone there was a mark the size of a fingernail. It wasn't a bruise. It wasn't a rash either. It was a light gray, slightly dark mark, shaped like a scorched flower. This was a sign of yin energy invasion. It wasn't malicious. It was from contact. Xiaohe had been wearing that paper crane, not under his pillow, but actually on him, and the thing attached to that paper crane. When the temperature was right, it would touch a living person through the crane. For a kid Xiaohe's age, too much yin energy causes a high fever. It wasn't that the spirit wanted to hurt him. It was the crane carrying his obsession, and it got too close to him. I placed my hand on that mark, closed my eyes, and silently said one sentence in my mind. I'll deliver your thing for you, but don't get close to the kid anymore. The temperature of the mark dropped a little. It didn't disappear completely, but at least it wasn't burning up anymore. When his mom came back in with a glass of water, his breathing had already calmed down some. I didn't explain too much. I just said it was probably from the change of seasons and catching a chill. Drink more water. Get more rest, and he'll be fine. It was already evening when I left Xianghe's place. I grabbed a bowl of noodles at the street corner, then took a cab to the east side of town. That old apartment complex has been gone for a long time. After the fire, the whole building was deemed unsafe, so they tore it down. The site turned into a temporary parking lot, covered in crushed gravel, with a few dusty vans and an abandoned bus parked there. To the north of the lot was a vacant lot waiting to be developed, overgrown with weeds. I stood in the middle of the parking lot, closed my eyes, pulled the paper crane piece from my pocket, and held it in my palm. The wind blew from the north, hitting my face with that dry chill feeling of late autumn. But the wind I felt between my fingers, it was coming from a different direction. It was blowing upward from the ground. A damp, smoky current of air. He was down there, not buried, but trapped. Firefighters died in the flames. Their bodies were carried away by comrades. Their families finished mourning. Everyone thought he had already gone too. He went where he was supposed to go. But the firefighter never left that building that doesn't exist anymore. His soul is still here, at the corner of the 4th floor stairwell, over and over, doing the same thing. Pick up the kid. Turn around. Take a step. Then the floor gave way. Not because he didn't know the kid was safe. It's because he didn't know he was safe himself. In his mind, he hasn't finished the job yet. The kid in his arms hasn't been brought to a safe place yet. He hasn't confirmed the kid is okay. So he still can't leave. I put the paper crane pieces back in my pocket. Looked around. There's a patch of concrete ground on the east side of the parking lot. That used to be the entrance to the building's front door. I walked over, put my backpack on the ground, started setting things up. 10 at night. The parking lot was empty. When the last car drove off, the driver rolled down his window and gave me a look. He thought it was sketchy, a woman squatting in the middle of a vacant lot, messing with yellow paper. But after hesitating, he stepped on the gas and left. I lit a circle of candles right in the center of the concrete ground. Not white ones. Red ones. 36 candles in total, arranged in a circle. In the middle of the circle, I placed that paper fire truck. Next to the fire truck was a paper figure holding a paper crane. I took out the paper crane with Xiaohe and Xixi from my bag, placed it in the paper figure's hand, right next to the broken piece of the other paper crane made from mint paper. Then I lit the candles. When the flames flared up, the temperature around me dropped instantly. It wasn't the wind. It was that cold seeping out from deep inside your bones, like someone opened the door to an ice cellar right behind you. A thin layer of white frost began to form on the gravel of the parking lot, right at the edge of the candle circle. Inside the circle, the ground was normal. Outside, every pebble was covered in gray-white frost. I heard footsteps, not coming from far away, coming from underground. Step by step, real slow, real heavy, like someone walking down a stairwell. No, not down. Up. Something was coming up from the ground. The footsteps stopped less than 6 feet behind me. I didn't turn around. I pulled out a lighter from my pocket and lit the paper fire truck. The paper caught fire fast. The red body curled and turned black in the flames. The number 119, written in gold dust, flashed in the fire and disappeared. But I saw it clearly. Right when the paper truck burned to ashes, the shape of the flame changed. It turned into something spinning like wheels, like a real fire truck pulling out of the station. After the paper truck was done burning, I lit the paper figure. When the paper figure started burning, the wind stopped. All the sounds around disappeared. Even the cars on the distant road seemed to get sucked away by something. I was squatting by the circle of candles, watching the paper figure's face slowly char and distort in the flames. Thick eyebrows, big eyes, a high nose bridge, lips slightly curled up. When it burned down to just a little bit left, I suddenly heard a voice. Not the wind, not footsteps. It was a person's voice, very soft, with a hoarse quality, like it came from very, very far away. Is the kid safe now? I looked up. The candle flames flickered in front of my eyes. Under the light of the fire, I saw a human-shaped silhouette standing on the other side of the candle circle. Not tall, about 5'7" or so, wearing a combat suit whose color I couldn't tell anymore. His helmet was gone. His face was covered in soot and sweat. He was holding something in his arms. A small curled-up human-shaped ball of light. He was still holding him. 5 years. He'd kept that pose the whole time, shielding that ball of light against his chest. Not crushed by the floor that fell on him. Not touched by the fire. Not choked by the smoke. He kept that thing safe and sound, like he was waiting for someone to hand it off to. My tears started falling. I've been in the paper funeral business for 6 years, dealing with the underworld for over a decade. I've seen just about every ghost there is. But Qin Shouzheng like this, I've never seen anything like it. His obsession wasn't about hate. Not about regret. It wasn't even about wanting to live. It was the child in his arms. He didn't realize that child wasn't real anymore. He didn't know it was just a projection of his memories and obsession. All he knew was he had to protect him. Get him to safety. You're safe now. I stood up. My voice was hoarse. The kid's safe. In the glow of the fire, that silhouette paused for a moment. He lowered his head slightly, looking at the glow in his arms, then looked back up at me. His mouth opened, moved a little. His voice came out broken, like he was making sure he heard right. He's safe? Safe, I said, pointing at the still burning paper crane in the paper doll's hand. He's already 5 years old. Not 2. He can run, jump, talk. He asked me to tell you thank you today. I said Xiao. His name once. Said thank you once. The last bit of flame inside the candle circle flickered, then suddenly shot up 1.5 feet. In the heart of the flame, the paper crane with the words Xia He and thank you caught fire. Its wings spread in the fire, like it was flying. That human silhouette lowered its head, staring at the glow in its arms. He looked for a long time. Then gently, slowly he placed that glow on the ground. The glow scattered as it hit the ground, turning into a soft halo. Inside the halo was a little girl's shadow, 2 pigtails tied up. She waved at him, then faded away. He stood up straight. The fire lit up his face. That face was exactly like the one in the briefing photo. Thick eyebrows, big eyes. The corners of his mouth turned up, except there was no soot or sweat on his face anymore. It was clean, like he just washed his face. He saluted me, not a standard military salute, the kind firefighters do. Right fist pressed against the temple, really hard, knuckles popping out. Then he turned and walked north. Took 2 steps, suddenly stopped, turned his head and looked back at me. His lips moved. I heard 2 words. Not. Don't be scared. He said that word completely, clearly. No distortion at all. Thank you. He disappeared into the night. All the flames inside the candle circle went out at the same time. All 36 candles went out in the exact same instant. Not a single one burned out slowly, like someone blew them all out. The parking lot went back to normal. Gravel road. Abandoned bus. The sound of cars on the distant road filled my ears again. I crouched on the ground, climbed up the candle stubs and paper ash. 2 things in the ash hadn't burned away. A bent firefighter badge, burned down to just the frame. But inside the frame was a small piece of metal, like a fragment of something. I picked it up, held it up to the moonlight, and saw it was a piece of metal that had melted and resolidified. Irregular shape, surface covered in tiny craters like bubbles. I flipped the metal piece over. The back had a few blurry numbers, 11907. That was Qin Shouzheng's ID number. I put the metal piece in my pocket, stood up and brushed the dust off my pants, raised my arm to check my watch. 11:40 at night. 20 more minutes. Xiao he should be fever-free by tonight. I didn't go back directly. Before hailing a taxi, I bought a bottle of water at the convenience store by the road, twisted off the cap, and poured the water onto that concrete lot. As I poured, I whispered something. Brother, mission's done. Don't hang around here anymore. Go where you're supposed to go. The wind blew from the north, hit my back, very gently. It felt like someone patted me on the shoulder from behind. The next morning, Xiao, his mom called me. She said, Xiao, his fever broke. It went down on its own around 4 in the morning. His temperature dropped from over 102 degrees Fahrenheit straight to 97.7. Like someone flipped a switch. She also said the first thing Xiao he said when he woke up was, Mom! That uncle said he got my flowers. I laughed into the phone for a long time. After I hung up, I opened the iron box under the counter and put that metal piece marked 1907 inside. There were already a few things in the iron box. A military insignia I brought back from the snowy mountains, and a brass button from a police uniform. When the metal piece went in, it touched the insignia, making a crisp ding sound, like two strangers who served together saying hi to each other. I closed the iron box and locked it again. The copper bell at the shop door rang. I looked up at the door. The sun was really nice, making the old street's cobblestones shine. A little girl in a red cotton jacket ran past the door, with two small braids. The balls at the tips of her braids bobbed up and down. I smiled, then lowered my head and kept folding my paper cranes.